Welcome to the PD Pet Care Vlogs. Most of us know we shouldn't leave our dogs in hot cars, but what exactly does that mean and why shouldn't we do it? I'm Dr Cath and today we're going to try and answer both of those questions for you so you've got a better understanding of what the risks are to your dogs and what the implications of heat stroke are. So first up, dogs in hot cars. Why is it an issue? Well, when you think the ambient outside temperature might be 25 degrees, sounds like a pretty balmy temperature to me, pretty enjoyable. However, we all know we've all left our cars in direct sunlight and come back on a generally pretty nice day and found that actually the car's really baking. If you've got leather or vinyl seats, it gets pretty hot to sit on. Steering wheel can get pretty hot. So, you know, that inside temperature is quite a lot higher than the outside temperature. So, like I say, it might be 25 degrees outside, but it might be more like 37, 40 degrees inside your car. And it can take only a matter of minutes to do that. So, you know, when you're just nipping into the store to go and get that bottle of milk and then get distracted talking to somebody, it doesn't take long for 10 minutes to pass by, and suddenly the inside temperature of your car's gone from whatever it was when you had the air conditioning on, rocketing up to well over 30 degrees and causing a problem. So why is it particularly a problem for dogs? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, they can't sweat like we do. They do have a small number of sweat glands around their feet, but it's a pretty small surface area. Don't know about you, but when I start sweating, it's all over. They can't do that. Secondly, they're covered in a big hairy jacket. So that lovely hairy coat that likes to shed everywhere, or maybe not if they're a non-shedding breed, but at the end of the day, that's like us wearing a wool coat, and they can't shed it. They can't just take it off when they start feeling hot. Thirdly, the only way they really can lose some heat is by panting. And by panting, they're losing some moisture from their airways, they're dilating all those vessels there, and that air moving back and forth is helping to cool those vessels. But again, it's a pretty small area, they're losing moisture. You can imagine being in a confined space, like a sauna. You then go and pour the water over the hot stones and suddenly it feels a whole lot hotter. So all that moisture that they're losing from their breath is actually contributing to heating up that small space in a car as well. So they're not going to cope so well. They're also trapped in a car, whereas we'd wind down a window or turn up the aircon. What are they going to do? Unless you've trained them how to do that, which you're probably not going to because they're more likely to be able to escape then they can't even open a window to help cool things down. Top that off if you've got a brachycephalic breed, so that's one of these breeds with the much shorter noses, much shorter airways. They've already got some degree of respiratory compromise. You know, they often pant a lot of the time just with normal breathing. Suddenly they're having to pant even more to lose heat, and they've got airways that aren't so effective. They can heat up really fast. So why does that matter? Well, when your body temperature starts to rise, then it causes all sorts of problems. So for most dogs, their normal body temperature is somewhere between about 37 and 39 degrees, so we usually work on about 38. So it only has to rise a couple of degrees, so around 40.5 and above starts becoming a real problem. Now this is a wee bit different to a fever when the body thinks it's got a higher set point. When the ambient temperature is really warm and the body temperature rises because it can't lose heat, there's a series of things that start to happen. So first up, dehydration. All that panting, losing all that moisture, trying to cool down. When you get dehydrated, your blood pressure starts to drop as well, so you're not feeling quite as strong, that respiration's not going to be quite as effective. Then you're going to start seeing things like spontaneous bleeding. So it might be in the gums, it might be in the skin. As things start to heat up even more, your proteins start to denature. So what does that mean? Essentially your organs start to fail. They're starting to melt and cook. If it's really short term, then the body might be able to cope. But realistically, once it starts to heat up, if you haven't had that ability to lose heat, then that process tends to continue and it sets up an inflammatory reaction that will just keep going even once you cool down. It can lead to seizures because the brain is particularly sensitive to getting too warm. And even if you can treat them, because it is actually quite difficult to treat and you need to be really quick and onto it, it can end up resulting in permanent damage to organs, particularly to things like the brain and the kidneys. So the absolute best thing you can do is to avoid it in the first place. So please never ever leave your dog in a hot car, and actually never ever leave your dog in a car unattended. Full stop. Best way to avoid problems.